DJ, Coach Jans has been talking about you the past couple of weeks, saying he has confidence in you because you make those shots in practice and obviously do other things in the game to help them win. But how good did that feel tonight for you to see it go in the hoop?
Man, words can't describe, man. I've been working so hard, to finally hit some shots. Like the last couple of games, I've been missing some. Tonight I just came out with confidence, and when I got it, I just caught it. I didn't hesitate and think about it. I just shot with confidence, and the results were good tonight. So, I'm just keep that same mentality going forward. Just keep shooting with no hesitation and keep moving forward.
Did you know that you were approaching 1,000 career points? And I guess what was it like kind of getting that standing ovation late in the game for you?
Yeah, I knew it coming into the game. I kept telling myself I got to at least get 13, but, I didn't know I was going to get 18. But, I got 13, and once I got 1,000 points, it was a big relief because, it's a big milestone in my career. I'm proud to be a 1,000-point scorer, and, I thank God for that.
DJ, how important is it for you for that first shot to go in, just to see it go in, hit the net, and go from there?
Man, it was a big confidence boost. Like I said, when I see one go in, that boosts my confidence up. I came out and hit 4 more, so, that one was a big one. If I would have missed, I probably still would have kept shooting my confidence anyways, but, I'm glad it went in.
DJ, y'all have so many good looks from three. I think one of the better shot selections that y'all have in the country. So how big is the three-point shot for this team offensively, you feel like?
It's real big because, like, that helps total, in the paint. Teams won't just be keying in on him. When we hit shots, they open up the paint for him and they open up the paint for guys like Cameron, with me, Sean, Shaq, E. Reed, and Deshaun come in and hit shots. They open up the game and just make our offensive game even better.
Sean, coaches talked a lot about this year that, games aren't necessarily always going to be pretty for you guys as long as the defense is there. I mean, you have that stretch in the first half where the offense was going. I guess how much has this team kind of bought into the idea of if the shots aren't falling, making sure you're playing good defense and staying in the game that way?
It's really just staying together and just playing hard, make mistakes 100 miles per hour. Don't worry about what going to offense in. If you can play defense every possession, you will be fine. If you can hold it down on that side, you will be fine. And stick together and we'll get the job done.
DJ, I think y'all were down 22-16 and then outscored them 48-29 the rest of the way. It seemed like y'all were having issues getting entry passes in there and whatnot. What do you think kind of changed from that point on for y'all to dominate the rest of the way, you think?
I'll say we started playing better defense, and of course we started hitting open threes. Guys started crashing offensive glass, getting easy looks, getting in and out threes. Us just hitting open threes, open up the paint, and then we just held them down defensively. We always do good defensively, but our offense caught up tonight, and it helped us out big time.
Y'all now won 4 in a row. A couple of big wins there. You've been on this team a few years now. Does it kind of seem like something's special's brewing with y'all as you try to make a push to the NCAA tournament?
I mean, I ain't gonna jinx it, but I feel like we're doing a pretty good job on this 4-game win streak. So we're just gonna keep building on this momentum and just keep going from there.
Sean, there's been a few games since you scored. How much did that help your confidence tonight to have 6 points and to get some big buckets in the paint?
It's really big for the team that I could contribute to that, and I really just stay focused. I really don't worry about scoring. I just stay focused defensively, listen to what Coach say, and let the game come to me.
Either one of y'all can answer this. How does Coach Jan sort of handle big picture, little picture? Because obviously you want to play one game at a time, but at the same time y'all know what the goal is and what you've got to do to get there. What's his message to you guys along those lines?
Basically just stay together, stay as a team, 100 miles per hour, stay focused, stay together, and don't worry about the outside. And as long as we got each other, we'll be good.
Sean, what did you see on that, last layup there at the end of the first half? And, it seemed like the shot clock was winding down. You were able to get a bucket to fall. And I guess how big was that for you guys, getting that right before halftime and kind of regaining that momentum?
It's actually big. That's a good way to go out because you got your momentum coming into the second half. So just going in there, finishing strong, because they was blocking a lot of our shots. So my mindset was just go in, finish strong, take the contact, don't shy away from it, you'll be fine.
Coach, kind of take you back to that stretch where LSU, I think we're up 22-18, and then it was like, I think 11 minutes and 56 seconds they went without a field goal. What changed with your defense there?
We were frustrated early with our lack of contesting threes. They made some threes early that, for whatever reason, we weren't contesting them, and it's obviously not the right recipe for success. And we were pretty aggressive with our denials in the early part of the possession. That was kind of the plan. But after that, we wanted to kind of shrink the floor, and we kept ourselves extended. So guys stayed in denial a little bit too long, and then obviously they got quick guards and they took advantage of it and were getting in the gaps and getting to the rim and scoring and kicking it for rhythm open threes. So, that's probably what we shored up the best is just, going from that frenetic denial early and then in the same possession, after that's over, get in those gaps and try to keep the ball from getting to the paint.
Kind of along those lines, you guys had that 10-minute stretch in the first half. I think you only scored 4 points in that stretch. I guess how much have you seen this team, when shots aren't falling, buy in, on the defensive end, and understand, as long as they get stops, they can still have a chance in it?
Yeah, I mean, if you got a really good basketball team, they understand that's going to happen. It's easy for us to say as coaches or people that know the game, it shouldn't matter, right? You should always be able to defend and rebound, right? You should always be able to play hard, but we're not built like that as humans. It's human nature to be frustrated when the ball doesn't go through the hole and not be quite as motivated on the other end. And it's really easy to, like I said, ask them, demand them not to be motivated by that. But it just happens. You've been doing it long enough. It just happens. So, but nice to see them stay locked in, and certainly it's something we preach all the time, and try to get them to play at a high level in all facets. But especially when the ball's not going through the hole, you got to rely on it. It's got to be in your back pocket. It's got to be our DNA, and that was a good to see for us to continue to do that.
State of coaches left and go to Robbie.
Playing off of that, DJ's been one of your better defenders. The shots aren't always falling for him. Tonight he goes 5 for 6. And you've been very vocal about your guys continuing to shoot, even when they're struggling. How happy were you to see that and see the night that he had tonight?
I was happy for all of us, I got in the coach's locker room 4 or 5 around. I'm like, they're going to think that we're the Warriors, man. We made 6 threes, Like, they're going to think, what happened? And certainly that's not a big number, right? But certainly happy for DJ. And I've talked about other guys working at their craft, and DJ's one of them. I don't always say that about everybody. Sometimes I just don't say it, right? I'm not going to say if they're not. But DJ's one of those guys that sticks with it. And when I'm walking out of that gym, I see him repping his jumper and working on his rhythm. And he's been making them. If you go watch him work out, you'll be like, what's the deal? Because it looks, you all see it, it looks good. It leaves his hand, it looks good. It's got a good form. He's obviously experienced, but, it just gets to be mental at times. So just really happy for him to reap the dividends of it and kind of take the lid off the basket. And we needed it because without him, we were 1 for 10. If you take his numbers out, we were 1 for 10 from 3. And it just looked rhythm. It looked rhythm, and it helped his whole game. I mean, he 4 assists or turnovers. It wasn't like he wasn't creating for others. And like you said, he's been real consistent on the defensive backboards and then being one of our better defenders.
Go back to the cameras and John, and then we'll come back down front.
You guys have now won 4 in a row. I mean, making that push for the NCAA tournament. I know you don't want to look too far ahead, but how kind of pleased have you been with the team's progress as of late the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, like I've been saying, I'm proud of their ability to stick together and handle some adversity and some games that didn't go the way we wanted them to or that our fans wanted them to, certainly how they wanted them to. But, they're getting paid for continuing to work and continuing to believe in each other and believe what, we're trying to sell them each and every game plan. And it's not coach speak. Like, if you would come watch us practice when we were having some, tough losses, they were coming to practice the next day with good attitudes and good approaches. I don't want to harp on it, but I've talked about that before. So it makes you feel good when you can say, hey, it works. I told you if you'd stick together, we'd have better days. Our results would get better. And so it feels good to be able to look at them now and then just to have the enjoyment in the locker room and that winning feeling coursing through the program, and certainly our fan base and people that are excited about Bulldog basketball and to make people feel good when they leave the hump.
Go to coaches Wright and Brian.
I think they cut it to 36-30 right before the under-16 timeout, and then you get to speak to your team. From there, you hit a couple buckets and thought you were basically in control for the rest of the game. What was the message there in the huddle at that moment of just letting them not get back into the game?
Just keep fighting, keep competing. The feel I had was that, they're starving for a win. They haven't packed it in. They're struggling. They've lost a bunch in a row after having a stellar start. Our seasons have mirrored one another for the most part, other than our recovery. Great non-conference, and then, kind of hit the skids. So it was like, guys, they're competing. They're not going away. You got to keep with the plan. You got to keep moving the ball. I thought the guys did a good job of adjusting. We were struggling at the rim early. Their size, a couple of those younger kids that came in were bigger than I anticipated, and we were struggling to finish, so we went to more of a spread ball screen look, and they made that change quickly and did a good job of running an offense so we don't run that often.
Go ahead, Paul. Or actually, Theo, I'm sorry.
Sean Jones made some big contributions for you guys tonight. What did you think of the night that he had?
He looked good. He makes those plays where you go, oh, wow. Even me, I'm like, ooh, that was a heck of a finish. He's just so lanky and long, and he just moves so well out there. He's one of those guys you just watch him run, and you're like, he's a hooper. And he had some great finishes. He played with more confidence. He hasn't shot the ball well. He's had limited attempts, but he makes and shoots and makes jumpers in practice. And he just plays with a lot of confidence. He feels he belongs out there. And but he did. Like the end of the first half, he was on the floor, and that's when we kind of got a little bit of a breathing room there, and he was a big part of it.
This question might not make any sense. I'm going to go ahead and apologize. When you're talking to your team, and I asked them about this earlier, do you sort of focus little picture, one game at a time, to look ahead to the big picture to get to the tournament? Or is it we want to get to the tournament, so we have to go one game at a time? Is it big to little, or is it little to big?
Right now, it's been little. I know where we're at, obviously. Our staff knows where we're at. And they know where we're at. But we've really focused on each game and what the process is to get to the tip and what our process is. And they understand what's riding on it and how meaningful each and every outing that we have the rest of the year. But I'm not saying that won't change down the road. But right now, we've just really been super focused, and they have too, and they followed suit. And I like our vibe and our feel, and I feel like that approach has been good for us thus far.
Got time for a couple more. We'll go to Steph.
No, it's obvious to say, making shots leads to wins, but, was it easy to your team after, you had 0 for 18 night at Auburn to say, hey, we just make a couple?
Why would you bring that up?
Well, is it easy to pitch, though, if you just make a couple, there's an opportunity for this team to win a game, considering, how close that game was?
We made 6 threes. We're the Warriors. Making timely shots, it just makes you feel good. We're defending, but when you make those and then you're really ramped up and the intensity level goes a little bit further, and, the feel good runs through the bench and it gets you to practice the next day, and you got a little more bounce in your step. But certainly when we make some shots, hopefully people will have to guard us a little closer out there and open up the middle for other opportunities for our guys, because certainly the book on us is, protect the paint, get in the gaps, and not let them shoot it, but more worried about what we're doing at the basket.
Joel, go ahead.
We've asked you a lot about Shaq the last 2 or 3 weeks, and he had 13 points tonight, and he may be on one of the more consistent runs of his Mississippi State tenure. And just what's kind of made the difference for him, do you think, the last few weeks since you put him in the starting lineup, and he just keeps on doing big things for you guys?
I believe in, you have to ask him. He only really knows. But I told him at the locker room, I go, man, if my coach told me to quit turning down shots, he wouldn't have to tell me twice. Like, I'm barking at him during the game, shoot the ball, right? And we talked about the shot fake. But for how we play and for who we are, he's got to shoot the ball. He's got to have a scoring mentality, and he's always been that way, from reputation, more of a scorer. But we need him to think shoot, score, not just score and get in the lane, and because he's crafty and he's obviously very athletic. But he needs to, take that role and dive into it and think score for us and be more aggressive for us. And his teammates are telling him too, so you got a coach and teammates telling you to score. I mean, I should be in the next few games telling, hey, okay, you took that real well, now slow down a little bit. But we haven't gotten close to something like that.
Steph, wrap us up.
I know you guys were, huddled at the time, but, how nice was it to have that moment where, DJ got the standing ovation, got recognized for 1,000 career points, considering the ups and downs that he's had this
I had
season?
no idea what was going on. I had to ask someone in the locker room. I go, what was that? So I found out then, but certainly happy for him. And he did it when he played really well. So that'll be a good memory for him, when he's through playing in college.